would allow Boston multiple draft picks, including at least one first-rounder, in exchange for Rajon Rondo. Boston has engaged in talks with other teams, but apparently the most serious conversations have been with Dallas. So let's project, shall we, Stephen A? Dallas joins the Mavericks, so to speak. We're just saying they are. Where would they be in the West once they get him?
Well, first of all, they're already one of the better teams in the NBA right now because they're exceptionally well coached by one of the great coaches in the game in Rick Carlisle. They're led by a franchise-caliber player, a franchise player, and a champion and a future Hall of Famer in Dirk Nowitzki, who, by the way, may be one of the most unselfish superstars you will ever find. Monte Ellis can ball, and Tyson Chandler has just been a godsend to them. The Dallas Mavericks were right. Rick Carlisle, who I spoke to, the moment that Tyson Chandler was acquired by them this summer or reacquired by them, Rick Carlisle was absolutely right where he talked about how valuable Tyson Chandler would be and how he has been vastly underappreciated. Tyson Chandler is doing a damn good job for the Dallas Mavericks. You get yourself a point guard like Rajon Rondo. First of all, understand that your defense is going to elevate. Secondly, and more importantly, you'll have somebody who is a champion that knows how to run a show. And by the way, no matter what you see from Rajon Rondo during the regular season, it's nothing compared to what he gives you when the games really count. Because that's when we learned what a star caliber point guard he is. Now, is he Derrick Rose, the Russell Westbrooks of the world, people like that? No, because he's the guy that really doesn't have that big of a perimeter, that good of a perimeter shot. But he knows how to get the job done. He's an elite orchestrator on the court. He knows how to run a show, and he defends. And because he does all of those things, it's a shame that he's been a part of a rebuilding project in Boston. He needs to be a part of a championship contender because it will only elevate him, and he's looking for a new contract down the line. He is looking to leave Boston. It's got to be an ideal situation. I don't see him going to another place like the Knicks where they're losing games or whatever the case may be. That's just laughable to me. He doesn't want to go to some place like that. He wants to compete for a championship. Whether it's going to happen with Dallas or not remains to be seen, but I would love to see him in Dallas playing for Rick Carlisle because there are no minuses with Rajon Rondo being your point guard. There are only pluses for a championship contender.
I would not love to see Rondo in Dallas with Rick Carlisle. My Spurs are struggling enough as it is. If you recall, my preseason prediction was Dallas versus San Antonio in the conference finals. Wow. This just might put the Mavericks over the top in what I now consider at this moment the deepest and toughest Western Conference we've ever witnessed, ever, in all my years of watching this conference. And I've always been a Western Conference guy. All the teams I've covered have always been in the West. I'm sorry, I did do the Bulls in the East, but for the most part. And Stephen A., with the rise now coming up from the bottom of a New Orleans and a Sacramento and a Phoenix, there are no gimmies anymore. And all of a sudden, when I picked Dallas to get to the conference finals, I had one asterisk, just one small sliver of doubt. And that was Calderon, obviously, had been very good for them last year because they gave my Spurs in the first round of the playoffs their toughest round of any round of the playoffs, including, obviously, the finals against LeBron's team. And Calderon was thorn inside for my Spurs. So when he went in the Tyson Chandler trade to your Knicks, I'm still not sure why he hasn't been better for your Knicks, I thought that was a missing piece and maybe a missing link for them because with Jameer Nelson and Devin Harris and J.J. Barea trying to be their point guard, it was okay but not great. All of a sudden, if you put Rondo in this mix, do you realize he's leading the NBA in assists at 10.8? He's leading all guards, including the two guards, including LeBron James in rebounds, which is just shocking to me. Rondo's averaging 7.5 boards a game. LeBron's at 5.4. And it steals, as you point about defense, Rondo's at 1.7 steals a game, which is 10th in the league, so it's pretty good. And again, he's not much of a scorer. He's shooting, I don't know what's gone wrong with his free throws. He's making 33% of his free throws, but he doesn't get to the line much, doesn't shoot many. I don't care about that because they have such firepower around him. If, in fact, he wound up with the Mavericks, he would be.
Exactly.
You know what? I'll throw a percent on this. I'm going to say that the Mavericks now 19-8. I'm going to say he would make them 20% better than they are right now at 19-8. 20% better. Stephen A., you know this. I still call him a kid. He's a young man still, but you know his game. You know what they did in Boston when they were good. He's tough to deal with. He's a big-time, big-game player. He'd be a beautiful fit for them. I'm hoping it falls through for my sake because, man, it would be advantage Dallas.
Well, you got to remember, so, Skip, it's like, listen, he epitomizes what a point guard is supposed to be from this respect.
Pure.
He makes players around him better.
Right.
You know, now, I'm telling you right now, if Rondo had a consistent jump shot, we'd be talking about him as one of, as a top 3-point guard in this game because of all the other things that he does. It's like, you know, he's a longer version of Chris Paul in certain respects when it comes to running a show.
Yep.
But Chris Paul obviously is better offensively. But I just look at this guy. Monte Ellis is lethal as he can be.
Yep.
Would be better with Rondo.
Definitely.
Chandler Parsons would benefit tremendously from Rondo. Tyson Chandler with the alley-oop would benefit tremendously.
It's okay.
The deal's with
done.
Rondo. And Dirk's going to be Dirk.
Dirk will be Dirk.
The deal isn't
and Dallas
done.
would be Dallas, and Carlisle would be Carlisle, and the deal isn't done.
The deal isn't done. It's okay.
Fall through,
your
deal,
Spurs,
fall through.
Your Spurs are okay.
Not done.
Yeah, you're okay.
I hope it's just a bunch of
Not
smoke
done.
blown
It's
by
not
Danny
done.
Ainge.
But he is trying to get out of there.
Well,
He is trying to get out of there.
They did
is
say
trying
he
to
was
get out of
speaking
Boston.
to the Kings as well. So
Good.
perhaps